Hello again. We are Chris Lee and Chase Robinson of Southeastern 16 here to talk about Texas's matchup with UTSA on Saturday at 6 Central on ESPN. Got some very excited animals in the background here. Texas is a 34.5-point favorite with an over-under of 53.5. That makes for a projected final of 44-10 in Texas's favor. My model has got Texas by 38. Before we talk about both teams and get into the matchup, Chase Robinson, tell folks who sponsors our content, please.
Yep, that is Bet Online, and they are the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. If you think you know your stuff, you can get in on a $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, you can head over to the online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker or one of the over 150 slots games. Head over to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online, the game starts here.
Big win last week for Texas. It returns home after winning at the Big House in what was a commanding, if not dominating, performance. I just thought Texas took control from the beginning. UTSA was Phil Steele's preseason pick to win the AAC. It beat a weak Kennesaw State team, probably one of the worst 2 or 3 teams in the FBS in week 1, and then last week just crushed 49-10 to Texas State. Expectations for Texas were that it was a preseason college football playoff team. We've seen nothing to move us off that. I'm not going to say I ever thought that UTSA was a team that we thought would beat Texas preseason, but it feels like expectations have to have slipped after what we've seen for 2 games so far.
Texas is just absolutely dominant. They are definitely a playoff contender, one of the best teams in the country. What they're able to do on both sides of the ball in all phases, really impressive. Steve Sarkisian has got this team in a position where I feel like they control it. You know, they have a chance to make something big happen, to go very far. And so, yeah, I think the expectations are obviously down for this game, especially coming off a big win over Michigan and UTSA coming off of a 49-10 loss to Texas State on the road last week. And so I feel like this is a game Texas, again, will get to play a lot of guys, get to kind of get some guys with some experience and be able to kind of get a warm up before you roll into the rest of your season.
Let's talk UTSA's offense versus Texas's defense. For UTSA, no more 7 years of Frank Harris. And I feel like, look, we don't watch this team. We're not UTSA insiders, but I feel like common sense implication is losing that has really hurt them. Owen McCown wasn't good last week. He was 10-23 for 105 yards. And I guess Eddie Lee Marburger came on in relief. He was 14-27. Look, if you don't have a quarterback right now in college football, your chances of success are pretty slim. And that would seem to be a pretty obvious reason to why this team has slipped. And that Texas defense is just so deep and so fast. It seems like a difficult matchup for UTSA, the spot that it's in.
Yeah, it is. And, the quarterbacks have not had great numbers this year. And, and this Texas defense is so good that I feel like, even if they did have a quarterback that was able to produce, it would still be a very tough situation that they're in. But, looking up and down as I was doing prep for this video, just kind of looking up and down their roster, their stats and everything. I feel like there's that this could be a really good day for the Texas defense. I just feel like there's not a lot there that you can say this is how UTSA can get big plays or score on Texas. I just feel like that's how good Texas defense is.
Yeah, well, UTSA's defense struggled last week, gave up 509 yards to Texas State, 11.4 per pass, 4.8 per rush. Quinn Ewers is being mentioned as a potential Heisman favorite. They got all kinds of receivers around them. They're getting great production out of the tight end position. Running back has been the concern with the injuries and things, but they're getting enough there. They've got enough talent. This is a spot where it feels like Texas can put up some big numbers and maybe get Arch Manning a full half of football.
Yeah, last season UTSA had Trey Moore, who was the American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year, 14 sacks. Well, guess what? Moore is now a Longhorn, so he will be on the other side of his former team of UTSA, and so I think that was a major loss for the Roadrunners there, and he was their guy. Jamari Robinson leads UTSA. He has two quarterback hurries. They have a couple linebackers who I think are good football players. But again, this will be the hardest game probably on UTSA's schedule, playing a team like Texas. And the Quinn Ewers in the offense is just so dynamic. And then you've got Arch Manning, who I feel like you don't take much off when he comes in the game as well. The offense is still very high powered. So this could be a game where we see a lot of points from the Longhorns as well.
And you wonder in this spot, because you've seen this a little bit. You saw it with Notre Dame last week against Northern Illinois. Nobody had that on their radar. You saw it with a couple other teams. You saw it, Oklahoma really struggled to beat Houston as about a 30-point favorite. But I think one of well, maybe not the difference here, but I'm looking, ULM on the schedule next week for Texas, which did pull a big win. No, they're not going to come in and compete with Texas. But my point is, I'm thinking, like, if you had a big game on the schedule, maybe this is a little bit of a look ahead, letdown game where it doesn't go quite as smoothly as you think it should go on paper. But I think with what's going on next week, with so much to play for Texas, with the fact that you're playing a team that lost by 39 to Texas State last week, 34.5 feels a little bit low. I like Texas to win in a blowout.
I do too. I think Texas wins big, a lot of points. We see Arch Manning. We see everybody that can get on the field for Texas on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's the problem with holding them down, is their backups are pretty good too.
Yeah.
So even when they go to the reserves, I mean, they're just deep across the board. So a lot of people have got Texas as a legit national title contender. Some people think it's the best team in the country. I don't think we played enough football to really know that yet, but certainly you've got to put them in that discussion at this moment. We will discuss Texas and everybody else when it's over with on Saturday night. We got a lot of football content coming in the meantime. Also baseball and basketball content every week in the off season. Best way to get that, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the thumbs up button, the like button. That's the same thing. That helps our analytics. And tell a friend. And caroline.smith at southeastern14.com if you're interested in advertising. We reach millions a year here. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. We are Southeastern 16, presented by BetOnline.